Alright, looks like we're live. Alright. I should turn my phone off now. So, it looks like we are ready to go here. So I will not waste any time, because I have a few interesting things to show off in this run. Just want to double check one thing. Yep, looks like, yeah, just have to make sure. Alright, so, before we get started, we got like 4 different difficulty settings here. It isn't specified in the category, but we are going to be doing this on easy mode. Expert is really hard. I would have done normal, but there's a couple things I wanted to show off in easy mode, and that just aren't possible in any other difficulty. So we're going to get started here in a moment. Oops. Just had to move that. All right. Let's go. So, to start things off, we have a few selections to go through. We have to choose playstyle, and we have to choose starting weapon. Oops, come on, get back here. Alright, a lot to sell with lightsaber. And, playstyle doesn't really matter too much. There's actually a number of different viable play styles. Free run, most people actually play this difficulty with free run and the lightsaber. I'm a fixed shot flame chaser user, and hopefully I get, okay, looks like we're not gonna get a chaser here, but we have also the ability to choose whatever level we want. I'm opting for pink stage because I get more options for weapon drops. You might see that I picked up the lightning there. There's all sorts of different weapon combos you can actually do. That was a solid climb there. Usually most runners will opt for the black stage, and the reason why will become very obvious once we get to that level. So this is a little bit of a short auto-scroller, and you can actually kind of just hang and chill out in the top corner there and be off screen, and you actually don't get crushed. You can even grab those guys if you couldn't already tell. There's these guys kind of sliding up there, and I just grab them. And this goes on for about 30 seconds. Usually we'll tell when it's about to be over when the spawns stop happening. Alright. Oh, there we go. Nice. So we got our flame chaser, and this weapon is my preferred weapon of choice because I have full control over where it moves and where it goes. And, like the lightsaber that I had before, I also can get rid of enemy projectiles with it. So now you're about to see the power of easy mode. So that was my physical attack, and it is the highest damage dealer in the entire game, at least for the lower difficulties. In easy mode, I do about 100 damage per hit. And because of that damage output, there are certain fights that actually skip phases. So now that we got our flame chaser, let's get to the real stage. This is pretty much the deciding stage right here of what will decide whether you have a run or not. Pretty much everybody who's ever played this game considers this stage extremely notorious, and you're going to find out why in a moment here. Right as soon as I go through this door. We have now entered the Dice Palace. So, for anyone who might notice, or hasn't ever seen this game before, you might be getting the Cuphead deja vu. I'm pretty sure this is the game that inspired that entire level in Cuphead. Unfortunately, though, the dice, getting your ideal rolls is very, very dumb. You can roll 3 different numbers, And I believe it's all based on on subpixel values. So what I'm gonna try to do to get my ideal rolls is to grab it at the same exact point and then throw it the same exact way, kind of like that. That's the result I want to see. So, not the best start, but hey, everyone gets to see their favorite fight in the game. But yeah, each of these spaces has varying different mini-games as well as different fights entirely. There's another little thing that might give Cuphead vibes, and that's the last space before the boss. That is called the way back space. If you land on that space, you get sent back to the very beginning, and that is why this level is pretty much the side effect. That was a very nice kick. Let's see if we can... Yes! Alright, so there's something wrong with this corner here, and you can sometimes go straight through it. Glad I got to show that off. Oh, bad roll. But it was a one roll on happy item space. So, in reality, you would think that getting all 3 rolls is the ideal way of doing Dice Palace, but that is actually not true. The ideal Dice Palace is to have 7 rolls, 3 of them landing on a happy item space. You don't want a single 1 roll in order to get this. Otherwise, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a 8-roll Dice Palace. Also, that was a Phantom. He has a little bit more health than the standard Phantom. Alright, very nice. So, coming up here is the curry and rice fight. This fight is also one that most runners don't want to have, but you kind of do need it. You do need to know how to do it if you want the ideal Dice Palace. But what I'm going to do here is I'm baiting him to do his arm flailing attack. Sometimes he'll randomly flip kick, and he's completely invincible when that happens, but he didn't do it this time. I'm going to intentionally get hit by that explosion and quickly exit out of the space. That was actually a perfect curry and rice fight. Okay, so now we're on to pretty much the worst fight with lightsaber. This is Super Gondola, and you got all these separate sort of weak points. You gotta kill them all, and trying to be able to deal with that. Oh, there was one more. Trying to be able to deal with all of these weak points with such a low range weapon is very tough to deal with. And I pretty much encourage most people who go with lightsaber to just completely skip that space. Very nice. We did not get the way back space. So that was actually a solid Dice Palace. In a marathon, I will take any Dice Palace where I don't hit that space. Yeah, the fire guiding is really fun. You have full control of it, too. You might have noticed I'm kind of spazzing out, kind of just going in circles. But that's how you control Flame Chaser. Alright, so that fight, Black's kind of an interesting fight. He'll roll the dice, and whatever he rolls determines how many times he moves. And what attack is initiated depends on where he stops. So he stopped in the corner there. That initiates the blue space. If he moved once, he would initiate the yellow, and then 2 times he would initiate the, the red space. I think if he moves 4 spaces, which he can't do in the first roll, obviously, he would initiate the green space. But yeah, it's all based on where he stops. That's what initiates which color square he activates. These are things I never used to understand when I used to play this game, but it all kind of came together as I started speedrunning this. So, green fight, or sorry, the green stage is mostly an auto-scroller. There are a couple of important things, though, to note. That train you just saw there, you want to kill those things as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will not advance the stage faster. So, otherwise, for the most part, the only thing you do need to know is that, well, actually, I'll show it off once we're done with this section, but you can actually completely duck most enemy attacks, and that even works on expert mode. So, another train there, get rid of those guys, and now we advance to the next part of the auto-scroller. So I'm going to duck here and literally just hold the fire button down, and you're going to see how pretty much, if anything even tries to attack me, they will not land a single hit. The only way they will land a hit is if a mine shows up on the same side, or, like, okay, say for instance that mine there. I had to actually kill that mine because he was going to hit me if I left it alone. Also, these enemies on the other side, like that guy that just opened up the gun and died there, he actually could have hit me if that bullet was perfectly accurately aimed. Now we're on the final stretch here, and we're just going to kill these enemies. Somehow that guy missed me. Alright, this might also be your first introduction to this guy here, who most people like to call M. Bison, but his actual name is Smash Dice Game. I'm going to also intentionally delay my damage, and I do this so that the train can fully get to the right side and then start moving to the left. That train, if you actually force Smash Dice Game to jump on top of the train too early, the train actually takes a while to move back to the left, so I intentionally avoided doing too much damage there. So, here's the green fight. In easy mode, you only face 3 of his forms. In normal, you face 5. In the harder difficulties, you face 7. In the second phase here, you have 2 or 3 different forms you can get. I got Tail, which is alright. It's not the best. Eagle Force would have been the best. But unfortunately, I didn't get... thankfully, I didn't get Urchin. But unfortunately, I got Tiger here, and this is a really bad phase to get. There is a safe spot that I'm standing at right now, but if Tiger actually wants to be a jerk and move as far right as possible, he is still going to land a hit on me. That's pretty much it for that fight, and this is also why I want the Flame Chaser. Lightsaber does not have many options for dealing with certain fights. Tail is especially a bad one for Lightsaber. Now onto our last selectable stage. The orange stage has a particularly special thing that can happen at the very end. And we're actually gonna, unlike in the race, in Blast the Process, we're actually going to try and replicate that orange soft lock. This used to be considered unknown as to why it would happen. But as early as last week, I did some digging and found the answer. So, if you have seen Blast the Process, you already know what to expect. And I know there are a few people in this channel here right now who has seen it. So, they know what's coming, but basically, there is this particular soft lock right at the end of the stage that makes you kind of go into a free fall for about a minute and a half. And you're kind of off screen for most of it while the screen spazzes out. It would sometimes just happen randomly, but what I ended up finding out is that right after this auto-scroller, actually, you might even be able to tell right away, but if you're looking at the ground I'm at right now, it's kind of oscillating up and down. It oscillates in a single cycle, with its highest point being the start of its cycle, and it finishes that cycle at the same high point. I'm going to be utilizing that, as that is what I determined to be the main reason for why the orange soft lock actually happens. So, the auto-scroller is now over. I'm gonna do one little strat here for this upcoming Yellow Phantom. This is a strat that can work with Lightsaber. Just a simple slide and he will die just like that. Alright, another mini-boss here. After this fight, I'm going to stop intentionally and kind of set something up here. I'm going to kill these guys so they aren't going to get in my way. And then I'm going to wait for the highest point before I move forward in the oscillation cycle. Alright, I think I got it. Yep, we got it. Alright, so another side effect of the soft lock, you have trouble getting onto this helicopter wing. You actually go straight through it. So you're going to see something magical happen at the end of this level now. And yeah, there's our favorite M. Bison knockoff. Alright, so the orange fight, I'm going to try and force his iframes. Whoa. I might be in trouble. Don't die. Do not die. I did not mean to actually take the damage there. That was very close. If you're wondering why I'm dropping my health down very low here, there's a reason for that. So, normally the stage would end, but the left building there actually didn't properly spawn. And now you're gonna see the screen sort of spaz out as the gem's kind of just sitting there. If you look carefully, since this is being captured at 60 frames a second, you might just catch a small few frames where you might notice orange kind of trapped in the ground at varying points of the soft lock. But what's gonna happen is I'm kind of just falling permanently, but eventually this soft lock will end. This is definitely not something you want to have happen in a speed run, but it's kind of cool to show it off. But this goes on for about a minute and a half, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fall straight through, and there's no ground, so there is nothing but a pit below me. And I am going to die as soon as I go into that pit. But thankfully, I found out that by dying during this part, it actually does not send you back to an earlier point of the stage. It will actually send me to the stage select screen. But this carries a side effect. And you will know about that side effect in a moment here. But what's going to happen here is I actually cannot advance the game. So right now, red is permanently soft locked. But there is a solution to this. We're going to plug in the second player port, or we're going to unplug out of port 1 and into port 2, and we're going to have blue come to save the day. And you actually, this is something you cannot do unless you get the soft lock, but you can actually run around on the top of the stage select screen. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna see if I can get a chaser. Yes! Alright, good. So, now that the nonsense is out of the way, we can now get back to the actual run itself, and there will be no more shenanigans from here on out. Every other bit of shenanigans in this game is intentional and is part of the speedrun route. Very nice kick. That was clutch. But the gist of what's going on here now is Yellow got kidnapped and we gotta go and save her now. And the Empire wants the 4 gems as payment. So we are going to try and save her. But first, we have a huge gauntlet of enemies to go through. This level tends to be a little bit trolly at times. The minions do have a tendency to grab me and throw me. Oh, I don't think I got it. Oh, I got it! Nice! That's a phantom quick kill right there. was pretty sure I was going to fail that, but if you throw that aerial platform down at him, you actually can kill the Phantom there pretty much instantly. It's pretty nice. It's much easier to get quick kills, believe it or not, in the harder difficulties, because the Phantoms are naturally more aggressive, and thus have a tendency to jump at you, which makes them more vulnerable to taking more frames of damage. Alright, that was a very, very, very strong endurance run. Alright, so now we have our final fight with Smash Dice Game. Once again, okay, we got a very good pattern here. By ducking down there, he, for the most part, very likely he will miss you with that attack if you're ducking. And now we're going to try and get him to the right side there. And then we're going to constantly chain throw him. He can be a bit of a troll and just kind of stand there and laugh at you, but the most important thing is don't slide. Otherwise, he will grab you as soon as he lands, and that is bad times. That's potentially 3 to 4 seconds lost. Oddly enough, the world record makes that mistake, and I do get grabbed by it, but that's ideally what you just saw there, the perfect fight. You love how the bad guy looks like M. Bison. Yeah, he's pretty special. Unfortunately for you, though, Vulcan Raven, this is the last time you are going to see him. We don't know exactly what happens to him, but I imagine he just gets the comic relief ending, really. Our true bad guy here is actually that guy on the airship there, who jumped on the airship. That is the Empire, and we're going to pursue him in space. Now, and keep in mind, guys, I know I did waste a bit of time doing that soft lock, but again, the estimate is 40 minutes, and you are watching the world record holder for this category, this game in general. Well, for every difficulty other than hard and expert, because nobody really runs hard mode. Let's be real here. Expert mode is... I am going to be trying for expert mode records eventually, but for the time being, I hold the record for easy and normal mode. And I mean, there's a reason I have the pretty much the only documented sub 30 time in this game, which was a huge milestone. Sub 30 used to be the dream, and we no sooner than actually it's been less than a month ago even. I managed to finally get that dream time, and I don't think I'm ever going to look back to this category again, unless it's going to be for a race with other runners that are still opting to improve their easy mode times. So, right now I've got this extremely long auto-scroller. This is the longest auto-scroller of the game. I'm also going to try and play this pretty much as passively as possible. This section can be a little bit, this auto-scroller can lag at times if you do fire at anything. And especially in the harder difficulties where enemies actually retaliate with their own enemy fire after being killed. Kind of a staple with a lot of shmups in general of the times with harder difficulties. But it's actually almost better to not shoot at anything. Both because you want to reduce lag and because you don't want to be dealing with all that extra enemy fire. It's actually not that difficult to avoid enemy. It's actually not that hard to avoid damage entirely. So, fun fact, if you were to ever learn this game on expert mode, this is a nice little hiding spot. Even these enemies that come behind you, you literally just keep your weapon pointed that direction there, and your Flame Chaser will literally take out both it and the retaliation fire it has. So that's a nice little tip for those that probably seek to run on harder difficulties. I didn't really have to do that for easy mode, but, you know, it was fun to at least show that off. Because I know some people probably would not have any interest in the easier difficulty runs. They would rather do the harder difficulties. And that is perfectly fine, although if you are to learn expert mode, you better get used to Flame Chaser, because that difficulty is very brutal with any other weapon other than Fire and Chaser as the weapon combo. Because like I said, on top of having full free range control and high weapon damage, you have the ability to get rid of enemy projectiles with the Fire and Chaser weapon. So have a little meteor snake, or asteroid snake. Gonna kind of just freely roam off the screen. So here's our next mini boss. That was not the best fight, but that's all right. So we're gonna actually get rid of these two turrets here. I said I would do this passively, but I do want to get rid of those two guys because it does cause lag to keep them on the screen. You actually lag the game a little bit trying to kill them, but trust me, it's better off that way. Because on top of having to dodge this guy right here, you have to dodge the other three. Actually, let me grab this health just in case. Just a bit of marathon safety. So this is probably the section right here that might get a lot of people scared of even trying to do this pacifist style, but it's actually not too bad, really. You just kind of stay to the side of the screen. The bullets don't really do a whole lot of damage. Alright, thankfully the auto-scroller's over pretty much now. There is one more fight here at the very end. This is our refight with 7 Forces, another green fight. And this is also yet another stage where Green can be quite a meanie, and he's being mean right now because Eagle Force is not what we want. It's a very laggy form. I also prefer to not have him do Soldier Force too much either, because that is also a laggy force. Blaster is fine, although it's very easy to get hit, as I'm showing right here. Urchin is good. Now, Green did die a little more to the left side of the screen there, so that wasn't the worst place for him to die, but ideally, you're much better off him dying pretty much at the bottom of the screen, or at the leftmost part of the screen. Basically, you want him off the screen, so you can advance to the next part of the level. So now we have the unit of fights, trio of unit of fights. Beginning with Hammer, this is not a kind fight for Flame Chaser. I was a little bit on the slow side with damage, missed a few hits, and caused unit of Hammer to actually land a hit on me. So that was not an ideal fight, but I still did manage to kill him just fine. So there's unit of Dragon. This is probably the worst of the 3 for Lightsaber. Well, I messed that up really badly. Alright, so if you want an idea of how to not do that fight, if you want an idea of what not to do, that was exactly it. Alright, so unit of Runner. This is a very easy fight, but in the speed run, it's actually can be kind of technical. You want to optimize physical damage on him. And we got the 2 cycle. That's as fast as you probably are ever going to kill on that. Normally most people kind of just throw out the Flame Chaser and stay far away from his attacks, but he actually doesn't do really a whole lot of damage. Alright, boss rush time. This is probably my favorite part of the run right here. A lot of technical things, and a lot of cool things to show. Okay, that was kind of early. So he's probably going to get off the screen here. Yep. Okay, that's fine. We killed him off the screen, but ideally, I started the back side of him to force him to move backwards. And that manipulates his pattern to move backwards, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to take an intentional hit there just to keep moving as fast as possible. And then I'm going to kick through all those energy balls. Now comes the pink refight. Gonna be right here. I'm also gonna switch my weapon here because Flame is actually very effective for this fight. I want to also make sure I'm kicking just before the attack's about to initiate, and that's how the fight goes. You can also do a bubble attack, but if you're close enough, Pink will do the claw attack, pretty much guaranteed. So, ideally, if you were to play a little campy, though, do prepare for the bubble attack at lower health values. Now, the orange refight is a bit tricky. Alright. Want to bait him to do the jump attack, and I totally failed that. Yikes. Alright, well, this was not a good fight. Getting 2 throws on me is not the ideal situation. But we got a nice little string there of damage. So he was about to do an explosive attack there, but didn't even get the chance to do it because kick is just too strong. Now we have the black 2 fight. And hopefully I'm in the correct position. Alright, very nice. So this is what us runners call the black 2 skip. If you kick and do enough damage to him before he gets the chance to start moving up, he will actually not even get the chance. He will not even get the chance to do... Oops. Okay, so I messed up the green stun lock. I don't know what he's doing. He kind of... I don't know what was just happening there, but he did something special there. Oh, nice. Wow, we couldn't get the green stun lock. That's kind of unfortunate, so that was not a very good fight. But there is a specific spot you can stand in and then try to get the Flame Chaser further behind his back than normal, and it can cause a stun lock to occur. It's still theorized to be somewhat of a random thing that can happen, but I believe there might be a method that can be pretty consistent with that particular fight. So now, we're on to the final boss of the game. This is the gold and silver fight. And I'm going to stand in a specific spot here. This was found by a Chinese runner known as Big Blue. If you stand in this spot, we force him to do a spreader attack, which is what you're seeing there right now. And then basically, within just a few attacks, he'll be forced in the background, and then it's the gem's turn to attack. Well, at that point, the fight is basically over, and yeah, that's basically a very solid AI manipulation. It was amazing when Big Blue found out about that, and ever since, I have been trying to implement that in my runs. Which, whenever I decide, oh, that's time. 33:19. Solid ending. Solid ending. Considering I got the soft lock. Green does apologize later, but he's still a jerk in this run. Every single fight is mostly determined by luck. I mean, it's not 100% on that last fight, but for the most part, he's a jerk. In fact, he's even a jerk in the 29-19, which currently stands as the record run for this category, this difficulty. So, considering half an hour, an hour and a half, a minute and a half, is what I lost for that green soft lock, or it's that orange soft lock, and probably subsequent time for showing off the side effect that comes after. That was actually a low 31-minute time, which is good enough for second place on a leaderboard, actually. So, there are a number of runners that run this category, but not nearly enough with actually very, very competitive times. Really, aside from myself, only one other runner has ever managed to accomplish sub 32 in this game, in this actual difficulty, and that would be Jim SR from Chile, who is also a free run lightsaber runner. So if you want to see a good lightsaber runner, he is the guy to go and see. But yeah, that is going to do it for me. I will be back later on tonight with another Sega Genesis classic, and that being Rock Knight Adventures. Until then, I am d4gr0n, and I will be signing off here. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the marathon.